Hello everyone. This is our regular segment, Answers to Your Questions. What is the correct spectrum to choose for the life of your corals? So now we will look at an example of SPS corals, specifically Acroporus. That is, Acroporus need a full spectrum. In other words, all the spectrums of your light fixture are absolutely necessary. That is, you cannot keep Acroporus only under blue light, just because you like the coloration of these corals. The main reason is the reduction in growth rates. So if you want your Acroporus to start growing faster, add a full spectrum. That means white, red, all full tones. In other words, so that the picture becomes approximately the same as under the solar spectrum. With this spectrum, you will see an increase in ORP and enhanced growth of your Acroporas. Accordingly, keep in mind that you should also add a dosing of macroelements and possibly microelements too, which will be consumed more rapidly during the growth process of Acroporus. If you want your Acroporus to grow a little less, you can simply reduce the power of the white channels of your light fixture a bit. That is, specifically the white and yellow channels. That will be sufficient. You will notice slight slowdown in growth. That is, many encounter, well, not many, some encounter the problem of too rapid growth of Acroporus and accordingly constantly need to adjust shapes, trim some branches, and consequently engage in some activities. This way your reef will grow more slowly and you will be able to control it more easily. Accordingly, let's consider LPS corals, which need more of the blue spectrum for normal life and practically do not need the white spectrum. Therefore, many in LPS reefs prefer to maintain the blue spectrum and say, yes, everything is great, I have the blue spectrum, my LPS corals are doing fine. I'll explain why this happens. Because of the depth of the water, and the deeper it is, the less it allows long wavelength light spectra to pass through. That is, long waves are white, yellow, red. So these tones do not penetrate to depth. Thus, at depth there is always a cooler blue spectrum of sunlight. You can notice such an example. For instance, when you dive into the sea and look at some beautiful coral, very beautiful at depth, you bring it to the surface. And the closer you get to the surface, the more you see that this coral changes from red to brown. That is because the penetration set of warm spectra increases. So accordingly, keep in mind that if you are keeping deep water corals, which are LPS corals that practically do not need the white spectrum, yes, it is needed a little, but not necessarily, then you can adjust your lights to the blue spectrum. However, if you are maintaining a mixed reef, meaning you have Acroporas and LPS corals, then you should choose some middle ground. That is, you still need to illuminate your Acroporas with the full spectrum because these corals live on the surface of coral reefs. They need to receive a lot of light, and accordingly, they are naturally adapted to receiving a large amount of the white spectrum, including for growth. Yes, their appearance may not look as bright as under the blue spectrum, but when transitioning to the evening period, when your lights shift from the full spectrum to blue, you will see more colors than in Acroporus that live only under the blue spectrum. That is, those kept under the full spectrum will look more beautiful when transitioning to the blue spectrum than those that constantly live under the blue spectrum. Goodbye, everyone.